now are saying they have to dig deeper in their pocket. I will be telling you a lot about this tonight, including breaking it down. But right now, we begin our conversation right here in Nairobi, because joining us from the county of Mombasa is the chairperson of the Finance and National Planning Committee, Kimani Kuria. He's now joining us from Mombasa. We'll be speaking with him shortly. But apart from Kimani Kuria, we have Stephen Obiro. He's the head of advocacy, consulting, and partnerships at the Federation of Kenya Employers. He's also joining us on the round table tonight. And Seth Panyako, General Secretary, Kenya National Union of Nurses, and Bill Okero, the former senator of Mandera. So each of these gentlemen represent something tonight, because Stephen Obiro will be representing the employers who are about to start deducting your 3% and will be sending an additional 5% if you're earning about 500,000 shillings. Seth Panyako represents the workers, the nurses here, and Kimani Kuria, of course, represents the government and the National Assembly, being the chairperson of the Finance and National Planning Committee. And Bill Okero is an economist by excellence. He's a member of parliament, ranking. He would be ranking member. You would be a ranking member of parliament. You will be. You will be a ranking member of parliament.
I would have,
now.
yes.
Yes, former senator for Mandera. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. And let me begin from the people who are about to feel this heat. Now, these are the laborers. Let me speak to Seth. What is the most difficult part of accepting this bill for you?
It's extremely difficult because workers are already going through very difficult financial times. And remember that one of the promises we made to the people of Kenya, because I belong to Kenya Kwanza, and I'm deep in the middle of the UD administration, we promised that we are going to lower the cost of we are moving all taxes on gas. And we said gas that goes for 2,800 will come to between 300 and 500 shillings. We said in one of the interviews when my president...
But that one we have 22 days to go, because he said in June. So there are 22 days to go.
One of the promises the president was at that time, when he was the deputy president, when he was asked a question on what is going to do about the fuel cost, he said he's looking about 15 taxes that are being levied on fuel. And he said, and he was asked particularly, which tax do you think you want to deal with? He said, I will think about removing VAT. Now today, they are saying they want to increase VAT from 8% to 16%.
Double it.
You are saying you want to increase, to deduct workers 3% and get that 3% to go and invest in some housing project where nobody knows about that housing project. We don't know who the beneficiary is. We don't know how long. In fact, I've looked at, when you look at the earnings, some of the salary that some of people earn, workers, it will take you over 100 years for you to get that.
I just wanted your initial comment. The most difficult thing for this, it's not palatable for a lot of Kenyans, but I wanted, before we break it down to the specifics, yes.
The most difficult thing is that Kenyan workers are already overburdened.
Okay.
Their salaries are even below the third rule.
Okay.
They cannot afford any further deductions.
Okay, okay. Let me speak to Stephen. Stephen, looking at it from FKF, I know the employers are right on the spot. I even heard Jacqueline Mugo speaking during the Labor Day, right? So is this something palatable for the employers, that you will be shouldering additional budget for the people you employ and the people you represent?
We are on record, even in the previous regime, having rejected the housing levy of 1.5%. And what, in summary, what this bill is doing is going to impoverish Kenya. Because as a government, you must allow your people to have disposable income for them to be able to invest, to be able to then to meet their obligations, their consumption needs, without you interfering with that. The second thing you have to do is that you cannot tax your way to prosperity. You can only become a prosperous country if your taxes and tax policies are supporting production, supporting more growth in the country, but not taxing. This mindset that is being advanced in this bill is going to impoverish Kenya. It's going to kill business. It's going to kill jobs. It is going to make Kenya uninhabitable.
From the employers, I like what you're saying. Let me hear from Bilo. From where you sit, your analysis of
from where I sit, yes. My concern is this bill will raise the cost of living. In fact, and this government, if you remember during the campaigns, the campaign was premised on economic revolution. And the theme really was about reducing the cost of living. And what is the cost of living? What are the elements in the cost of living that we want to reduce? There are several. For example, it's about the production, the cost of production. That is what the main thing that makes the cost of living expensive, because the goods and services that you buy, and that is, there are four factors that I want to mention here. One, the single most important thing that has made us very uncompetitive and made cost of living expensive is the cost of energy, particularly power. In the last few months, the government has increased power by almost 15 to 30%. The second one is the cost of energy, like fuel. It has not done anything to reduce the cost of fuel. So in fact, this increase to 16% is going to affect every aspect of our lives in this country, and everything will go up. The third thing about the cost of living is taxes impact significantly on the cost of goods and services. So you would expect that the government would reduce certain levels, certain types of taxes in order to make things more, less expensive and make things more whatever. We haven't seen that. In fact, the sum of it all, you'll find that there are more taxes than less in this new bill. And lastly, I think apart from those ones, I also see some of the measures here. Really, it's counterproductive for particularly investors and businesses and so forth, because you are coming with measures that, in essence, would discourage people from investing in this country.
We'll be talking about extensively, but let me cross over now to Mombasa, where Kimani Kuria is also joining us. And Mheshimiwa, it's amazing that no one out of these gentlemen, from the laborers, from the employers, and of course from below, no one seems to find anything positive in this Finance Bill 2023. Just briefly, your take on the fact that maybe you could be the only one tonight on the table who finds something positive in this bill.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much everyone who is joining us this evening. I am here in Mombasa with the Committee of Finance and National Planning for official duties, for official parliamentary duties, and that's why I'm joining you here from Mombasa. Kenyans, we did public participation on our budget policy statement, on our ceilings, what will form the budget ceilings that will form now the budget for 2023-2024. And what Kenyans told us, and what was approved even by the National Assembly across the political divide, is a budget ceiling of 3.59 trillion shillings. If we use the basis of the projections that we have for how much we are likely to collect based on the current Finance Act, we have a deficit of around 603 billion shillings. However, we have a law that sets the ceiling for how to finance a deficit in a budget that gives us a limit of 10 trillion shillings. Which gives us only a leg room or a fiscal space of 610 billion shillings. If we take out the A&A that we are likely to collect in 2023-24 is 322 billion shillings, which means even as we start off now, what we really have is a huge deficit. So we are left with two options. We either go out and borrow, or we find a way of expanding our tax base and expanding how much we collect, how much we bake as a national cake. And that is the dilemma that is facing our administration at this particular time. For example, in next year, we have a Eurobond of 200 billion shillings that's maturing. So we have a ballooned loan book, and we have a responsibility to run this country. When we say that there is nothing wrong in this, there's nothing right in this finance bill, that is very misleading. Because, for example, LPG gas we had 8% tax on LPG gas. We have scrapped off VAT on LPG gas. We have reduced the import declaration fee for LPG gas.
You have gone to specifics, and I'd like to discuss the specific when we come back at 10, because the most interesting thing, what you're saying, if I can hear what you're saying, and I saw Bill smiling, is you're simply trying to tell us that you're going to raise revenue locally to finance the whole budget, according to you, if I got you right. When we come back, we'll start from there. But now, let's take a break. In business news tonight, auto dealer CFO and DTW officially merged. Details after the break.